presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Man, y'all know what time it is. T-Law got the eyes of Lee Van Cleef when he go in that field.
Checks it down underneath. That's a crossing route to Christian Kirk. 30, 25, 20, 15, 10. Christian Kirk to the goal line. Touchdown, Jacksonville.
They made a major mistake when they made T-Law go to the spirit of the sky, to the oracle of the saber-toothed tiger, and the saber-toothed tiger now held the scepter in his hand, and he been to put every critic to rest. Man, last night I done marinated 2 turkeys. I got my cherry wood getting ready for my smoker. Just got off from work, off Pritchard Road. I'm going to bake me 2 Cornish hens. My special recipe, I call it the Mediterranean Cornish hen. I'm going to top it off with my homemade Long Island iced tea. And I'm only going to top it off with 1 red top of Coca-Cola. The Maxwell House coffee will live on forever. Duval!
1010XL 92.5 FM presents Jaguars Today with your host Tony Smith, Tom McManus, and Dylan Denmark.
Another week here on Jaguars Today. We're about 3 weeks away from Jaguars training camp. It is upon us, but we are in the middle of the real off season. As I'm Tony Smith, Mike Dempsey on assignment all week. We'll get back with him a week from today, next Monday. Dylan Denmark alongside Tom McManus, who couldn't join me on Friday.
That's right.
Is able to join me today. I know you were doing the family 4th of July celebration stuff with the wife, everything that was going on down there in Orlando. How was the weekend, my friend?
It was great. Thanks for asking. Hope everybody had a great 4th of July. We were down in Orlando for the National Dance convention, I guess you'd call it, competition. Our Harley finished top 20 in her age group, so
nice.
That's good. You had to earn your way into it. And, we stayed at the Omni for a little bit. That was pretty cool. So they had a great 4th of July fireworks show. It was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And we were right up front, too, felt safe and all that stuff. Just a cool property. But I'm not a big fan of Orlando, man. I tell you, my wife and kids were down there for the whole week. I went back and forth twice, Monday went the same day, and then Thursday and Friday. But I don't know, too many people. There are people everywhere, for crying out. Everywhere you go, it's crowded, and there's traffic, and there's everything. So, careful what you wish for, right? I know we all want downtown to be spectacular, and it's going to be, and it's going to be phenomenal. I can't wait, but it's going to bring more and more people. People be complaining about the traffic around here in no time. Trust me, they already do.
I'm much more your speed with that kind of stuff, Tommy. I don't need all the crowds and stuff like that.
No.
I get it.
Yeah.
For game day, sporting events, those kind of things, I got no problem with it. I've never been the guy that wanted to go to the club ever. There was nothing about that.
Well, I can't say the same.
Right. There was nothing about that interested me. I was just like, this just feels like a bunch of noise and someone's going to get out of control. I have no interest in being involved in that kind of group, but I can understand people that do. Yeah. That's their weekend, right? It's the weekend. Cool. This is what I'm going to do. If I was going to do it, Tommy, it would be a concert.
Sure.
Right? That's what I would go to. And so when I was a kid, that's what I did.
When you're younger, you're more open to that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Anyway, right? When you're getting old and crotchety like me, you're just like, I don't want all the crowd. Sometimes I like the crowd.
When I was 17, 18 years old, I spent half of my Friday nights in a mosh pit.
Yeah.
That's just what I did. I loved that kind of thing, but I had no interest in going.
I accidentally hurt somebody in a mosh pit once in Daytona Beach during spring break. I just hit him too hard. I didn't mean to. And he went flying into the railing. They had a railing coming down the steps, and his back of his ribs went right into the railing. And I was like, And I went over there and told him I was sorry. I didn't mean to jack him up that good, but me and my brother were out there knocking people around. The mosh pit was fun back in the day. It was, but not.
You remember who the show was?
Not today. No, it wasn't even a show. It was at a club in Daytona Beach, and they were moshing, and I figured I'd jump in there and see what's going on. And next thing you know, I got a little bit.
The linebacker got a little rough.
Yeah, so I didn't mosh very much after that. I felt bad for the dude, but.
Yeah.
Live and learn, right? The lessons learned over time.
No doubt. I know on Friday we had Double D in.
Yeah, man.
Which was great. And he's got another one of his events coming up a little bit later on this month.
Yeah.
You can check that out at DariusNextLevelTraining.com if you want to get involved. Support the kids that are going to be doing it.
It's all about tackling, learning how to tackle. It's more than that, of course, very much more than that. But on the surface, it's learning how to tackle. Let's face it, that's been a lost art on pretty much every level of football, and you go back to, look, we all love the knockout hits. Can't do those anymore, right?
No,
you can't really deliver those big shots like you used to be able to. In the hole, you still can, one-on-one, that kind of thing, but not when, they're not looking and that kind of stuff. Coming across the middle, there's been a lot of missed tackles, bouncing off, not wrapping up. I mean, you go back to, I remember when Seattle was doing they brought in the rugby guys because they tackle perfectly. Their heads to the side. Sometimes they clang heads, there's no doubt, but they lower those hips, they lower that ass, and they get the head to the side, and then they get to pick them up and drive into the ground, which I think they should bring back into the NFL. I don't know why you can't do that. That seems stupid to me, but nonetheless, you can't. But tackling is a lost art, and it'll keep your kids safe. For a while, their parents were so afraid to let their kids play football because of the head injuries. I'm not saying that's not valid, but if you learn how to tackle, you take a lot of that out. Not all of it, because you're still going to hit your head, but you take a lot of that out when you learn how to tackle.
Well, and it does feel like one of those situations where rugby players don't have anything to protect them except however they use their body.
Well, they have that small leather thing that protects their ears and some of their head, but really they don't.
There's just so little protection there that you have to learn how to do it the right way, or you're going to get hurt just trying to make contact with somebody, or absorbing the contact from somebody else. So there is a skill to doing those kind of things. It does feel like American football, you put on all this armor.
Yeah.
Right? And you can have that feeling that, well, I can't get hurt. I'm wearing all this.
Yep.
I got the helmet on. I can't get hurt. Right? Like those kind of things.
Dip that head, you'll get hurt.
Right. And so those are things that have to be taught, learned. It makes all the sense in the world to teach kids how to rugby tackle. Like, I don't know why that wouldn't be exactly what you do with kids that are learning how to use that skill for the first time.
And that's what Double D brings to the table, because he's going to show you exactly how to do it. You got to see what you hit. You don't close your eyes like Dewey Winger does from time to time when that big hit's coming. Don't close your eyes. Make sure you can see what you're hitting. But seriously, you got to keep that face up and keep it protected. And it is a violent sport, so you got to know that going in.
Sure.
But you can learn, you get the right techniques. I mean, look, we led with our face. My dad played leather helmet football. They didn't lead with their face. Rugby players don't lead with their face.
No.
That gets hit from time to time, no doubt, but they're not leading with their face because it's wide open. Yeah. There's no protection. That face mask does come in handy. There's no doubt about it. But I tell you what, I'm looking for some banging in Doug Peterson's training camp. Please, I want to see some thudding up and some whacking each other at the line of scrimmage. What do you think? You think we'll see a more physical training camp tone than we have in the past couple years? I know you got to be careful still.
Yeah.
I'm not talking full speed tackle to the ground either. I'm talking thudding up. And if anybody's played ball, you know what thudding up is. It's still hitting, but it's not full speed, knock you to the ground or on your butt kind of hitting.
I think we've seen what he wanted to do in training camp the last couple of years, and that's just what it's going to be.
Yeah. He keeps talking physical, though.
I know.
Unless he's trying to brainwash them because they haven't been physical.
Right, but everyone's going to talk physical.
Yeah.
Right? There's no exception to that across the league. Like, no team, even Miami, with what they do on offense, they're not coming into training camp saying, we're a finesse team. We got to figure out how to out-finesse the entire league.
No, right.
Like, that's not what they're going to talk. They're going to talk about physical. We got to be physical. We got to get better at doing those kind of things. And I don't disagree with you, on the surface
they're
of it.
physical.
But I absolutely.
Yeah, Miami's
But I
physical.
think the money involved and the importance of keeping everyone healthy takes precedence for coaches over we need 3 more days in pads.
Yeah.
Right? It just feels like that question has been answered in we're going to go the less contact route. Not no contact in training camp, but it's going to be less contact. I know, look, you grew up with Coughlin. right, in the NFL, and you had him at Boston College as well. You know, that was our question of the day on Friday. It was just your favorite Tom Coughlin memory from his time here in Jacksonville, right? And Donovan shared a story about being in the locker room after the win over Miami, 62-7, and being in there for TC to be talking about it the way that he talked about it, and it felt like with everything that had happened when he got here in 93 and was named the head coach here in Jacksonville, that there they are in 1999 on the precipice of a Super Bowl, right? And being in that room with him talking to those guys about that opportunity coming up for him, he talked about it as being his favorite memory during his time here with Tom Coughlin. But, you know, the game is different.
It is.
It's not actually played all that differently on the field, but the way that you're prepared to play is different because, look, if you're going to pay quarterbacks across the league, and there's a bunch of them that are going to be getting $40 million a year, it's clear that there's going to be a lot done we have to protect this guy as much as we possibly can, and trying to figure out the balance of protect all these guys with we got to get them ready to play NFL football. It's a fine balance, and we see the skills that get kind of left behind. And a little bit of that is offensive line play, Tommy.
A lot of it is.
And a little bit of that is tackling, right? Like they're willing to sacrifice those if it means the skill guys
Which is crazy because you got to be physical to protect your QB.
I'm
You're
with
going
you.
against very physical guys. I mean, and that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about up front being physical. The backers, safeties, the backs, and that kind of thing. Tight ends, learning, really, really. I don't think you just become physical, no matter how much you say you are. I mean, you go back to TC, he believed in building the lines. Like the O-line and D-line had to be, look who he took first overall.
Absolutely.
And was a fantastic pick, obviously. But it wasn't just because they were tough in college or had a reputation of being tough. It was we became tough. I mean, as a unit, like we did bang. Now, granted, it is different. I totally understand what you're saying. I'm not talking about hitting the QB. You're not allowed to hit the QB.
No, never were.
Or never were. That's for sure. Because they were the golden goose back then too. You had to have a great quarterback, and your great ones had to be protected. So, but I think you can. I think you got to be a little physical to be a physical team, and I do think one of the negatives of this team the past 2 years has been that lack of physicality. It sounds like they weren't physical at all, but teams that came in here and punched them in the mouth, they really didn't respond very well to. And you can go through the teams that happened to, even 2 years ago. Up in Philly, they started pounding the rock. The Giants for a half came on to them. They were pushing them around. Dallas was pushing them around till that second half. That was when they really started turning it around 2 years ago. Last year, I mean, goodness gracious, KC, San Fran. I mean, there were others that you weren't physical, and that was the blueprint. Tennessee, the last game. You know what I mean? So I do think they're, you got to be careful. And it's not just the QBs that are making a ton of money. Everybody is, so you can't,
for sure.
You can't lose your tackle. You can't lose your guard that you just re-signed. That stings. So you got to find a fine line, but I do think they gotta be a little bit more physical this year if they're going to do anything special.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see how much more they want to do with that, right? Because
me too.
I'd be totally on board with them doing more of that.
Yeah.
Because I don't think anything you just said is off the mark at all.
Yeah.
We all saw how it ended last year with them losing 5 out of 6 games, and I don't know exactly how you divide up how much you blame what as far as physical toughness and mental toughness, right? In that room that somebody could have stood up and said, "Guy, it's got to end now. We don't have time to wait for it." Like it felt like the whole room was kind of waiting on whatever turned them the year before.
Yeah.
Coming out of that Detroit game, they were waiting on whatever that was to walk into the room. Last year at some point, it didn't show up.
Yep.
And so you wind up losing 5 of the last 6 games, and the only game you won was against the by far worst team in football last year in the Carolina Panthers, and you got that done without your quarterback playing that day.
Right.
But it does feel like they were waiting for whatever that magic was the year before, and I think youth explains some of that, right? And it may explain some of the lack of toughness, whatever you want to call it, right, with the football team is they got a bunch of young guys that may still be trying to feel their way through what does this mean in the NFL exactly when I'm going up against a bunch of other grown men that are doing this job too. I think there is something to that because they have been young. these last couple of years, but not young enough that it should have been the kind of problem it was at the end of last year.
Yeah, I mean, Roy Robertson-Harris isn't young.
No.
And Gotsis isn't young. Devon, I don't know, you could make a case 2 years ago he was young, and I know about last year, and hopefully he can turn it around. I mean, Ledbetter, Roberson, I mean, they're I mean, of course, Trayvon's young, but he's got no problem against the run most of the time.
Sure.
He's a beast against the run. So, look, with the addition of Eric Armstead, with the addition of Mitch Morse, both the D-line and O-line should be more physical, right? And I think that's why they brought him in. It wasn't just because they look good in uniform and they
bulky didn't duck it.
No, it's more about being more physical up front. So that's all good stuff, right? And I think, look, I did a special podcast yesterday for my home with Catching Up with Tommy Mack, and I was talking about which rookies. Jordan Jefferson may be that guy. Mm-hmm. Mason may be a project, where he's not totally ready to be a day one starter. Jordan, he's got a chance to unseat Devon Hamilton. I mean, he does. I think they both do. And Devon has obviously a great shot of being here and because of the contract, and they like him. I like him too. I just want him to play better. And not get tired. I think he gets tired. I think that conditioning's got to be top of the line too this year. And for the record, in Doug's defense, he runs a very fast-paced offense. I mean, they run a lot of plays. You know what I mean? It's not a lot of teaching. It's not a lot of talking. So it's not that. I mean, it's a lot of energy out there. I just want to see a little more violence because you didn't see maybe on the last day when he went full contact, there wasn't much violence in any of those practices.
Sure.
I think you got to have a little.
The Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day today, asking what Jaguars player would have gotten your vote for team MVP for the 2023 season. The two players we included in the poll were Trevor Lawrence and Josh Allen, kind of the leaders on each side of the ball for him last year. If you want someone else, just click that option and reply with the name of whoever you would vote for. Okay. For the 2023 team MVP for the Jaguars, we'll continue to get into some of these issues with the football team that we just got into. Over at ESPN, they started a series. They're going to be doing a different position group every day. Okay. Where they've talked to a bunch of guys from across the league, executives, coaches, and they got top 10 rankings at different positions. Oh. It opens today with the running back position. We'll let you know if Travis Etienne falls among the top 10 running backs in the league and exactly where he may fall in that list as we get things rolling. It's a Monday edition of Jaguars Today here on 1010XL.
Hey everybody, Mike Dempsey here for Dandy Sandwiches and Subs. Look, you probably just finished up a long holiday weekend if you're lucky enough to have last Friday off. And maybe you're just tired of grilling out right now. Maybe you just need something simple, effective, delicious. Dandy's got all those things. As you're driving around Duval, maybe you forgot to pack a lunch, or maybe specifically you didn't forget, and you knew you could swing into a gate station, head right to the fresh case, and look for that Dandy and Anytime Deli label, and know you're going to get fantastic options for you. I'm always partial to the classic tuna sandwich, but man, they've got just about everything that you could possibly imagine. Breakfast items, light lunchtime wraps, gourmet salads, on and on and on. The menu is extensive, and it's always made with quality ingredients, and it's super convenient for on the go. When you're getting around Duval, Dandy is absolutely the name to know, a local company that's been thriving for nearly 70 years. So when you're hungry, do what I do, folks. Go out and make yours a Dandy, and do it today.
Jaguars Today. You're at the home of the Jaguars in the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Joe Cowart.
That's the quiet cool.
Matt Hayes.
Help us win.
And Leon Searcy.
All right, let's break someone clavicle on 3.
XL Prime Time.
1, 2, 3.
2 to 4 weekdays on 1010XL.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwoods. How would you describe the typical engagement ring customer that comes in your store?
Frank, at Underwoods, we often see customers who've shopped around and are totally confused about how to select a diamond. Now, they're looking for somebody qualified who'll tell them the truth and they can trust. They've heard about certification on diamonds, wholesale diamonds, internet diamonds, deals that a friend of a friend can get them, and the prices will range from unbelievably low to unbelievably high. One of the reasons for the confusion is if you look at the factors of grading a diamond after you know the carat weight, there are 11 grades for cut, 21 grades for color, 11 grades for clarity, so you got 2,541 different possibilities, each with a different price. That's where Underwoods helps straighten out the confusion, because we have the American Gem Society credentialed professionals that'll guide a customer the right diamond for them. one she'll be happy with for the rest of her life.
Underwoods, where customers are served with quality and respect. In San Marco, Avondale, and the shops of Ponte Vedra.
Hey Jacksonville, Lauren Brooks here from Helmets and Heels. Are you looking for quality tires that won't break the bank? Big Chief has you covered. Right now they're offering 6-month financing with the CFNA card, plus $50 off your next service. With no interest for 6 months, it's the perfect time to get those new tires. Schedule your appointment today at BigChiefTire.com or call 904-932-0950 to take advantage of this incredible deal. Big Chief Tire keeps Jacks rolling.
Electrical problems? Call American Electrical Contracting. 737-7770. Small jobs or large, they do them all. Work with a locally owned and operated company that will wire it right at a fair price. It's not just a slogan, it's the way they do business.
Attention homeowners, is it time to get your septic tank pumped out? Don't wait until it's too late. At Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing and Septic, our experienced technicians use the latest equipment to pump out your tank safely and efficiently, ensuring that your septic system is running smoothly. Neglecting your septic tank can lead to costly repairs and even health hazards. So call Duck Duck Rooter and schedule your septic tank pumping. Call now, 904-862-6769 or online at duckduckrooter.com. Duck Duck Rooter is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Summer's greatest hits are going on now, and Macy's one-day sale has summer's greatest savings. Shop limited time specials like 40 to 60% off everything for this weekend's Backyard Bash. From the Cellar Barbecue, Henkel's, and Tupperware, 40 to 70% off fine jewelry from Effie, Levion, and more, and 30 to 55% off bras, pajamas, and more basics. Hurry in. Our one-day sale starts Tuesday at Macy's. Savings off already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
Get closer to nature.
Trying to get close to these bucks out here.
Jeff Lageman, Captain Kevin Favor, and Captain Kirk Waltz. The Nimnicht Outdoor Show. Presented by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning. Saturday morning 7 to 10 on 1010XL.
What countries have the most and least time zones? The answer next.
With storm season blowing wind and rain, it's even more critical to protect your valuable assets with a policy from Southern Oak Insurance. Ask your agent about Southern Oak today.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
Believe it or not, France has 12 time zones. China, only one. China's Standard Time.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
International soccer returns this summer. Don't miss Premier League clubs, Wolves and West Ham in Jacksonville for the Stateside Cup, July 27th at Everbank Stadium. Tickets as low as $35 at statesidecup.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Mac in the Middle, Tom McManus. Brought to you by Renewal by Anderson. A better way to a better window on 1010XL.
Are you in a neighborhood, Tommy, where the fireworks went through the whole weekend?
I heard some popping there and there. Not too much, though. Not really, no. No, it's kind of nice.
Yeah. I got, I'm living in a spot I'm in a condo.
Yeah.
So there's 5 other condo complexes on the road over there in Bartram.
Gotcha.
That without exception, the one-day holiday turns into a 5-day holiday with the fireworks wherever.
Yeah.
Whenever those come about. It doesn't bother me all that much. Luckily, I was off last week, so when they started doing it Tuesday, last week I was like, whatever, I'm off tomorrow. It's not a big deal, know. But yeah, like 12:01 on the 4th of July, like that Wednesday going into that Thursday, 12:01 a.m., they were popping.
Really?
It's like around me in the neighborhood. I'm like, man, not everyone is off tomorrow, guys.
Yeah, not everyone's into it either.
Right. It's not New Year's.
No, right.
It's the 4th of July. I get that you can't really get them up and see them until almost 9 o'clock, which is when the sun's actually going down.
Yeah.
But guys, chill. Yeah. 9:30, 9:45, 10 o'clock. Done.
Yeah, well, the pets don't like all the booming, That's what, And we lost a dog on the July 4th weekend a few years ago, man. She got out. We think of firework. We weren't home.
Mm-hmm.
It was just awful. But, look, I like fireworks. I just don't like them, that much, I do like watching them from time to time, but whatever. Do it on July 4th. I know it's going to spill.
I enjoy the
over a little
one-time
bit.
event.
Yeah.
Then
I heard First Street was unbelievable on Neptune Beach, so I missed that.
Billions of bikes.
Yeah.
Billions.
That's the party right there. Next year, we're not going anywhere, man. I want to be in the thick of that. That's a fun time. I've done that many, many a time, so that's a good time out there at the beach.
No doubt. Jeremy Fowler over at ESPN, I mentioned, he started a series. It began today where he's going to be taking a look at the top 10 at a bunch of different positions. We've, over the course of the offseason, we've looked at these kind of lists at PFF and other spots, right? But ESPN putting out their own. And the way they do it, he said that they got lists of top 10 rankings for these different spots from almost 80 people that work in personnel, front offices across the league. Scouts from across the league putting together their top 10, then they rank them. They put them in the order and release them. They start with running backs today.
Okay.
As we go through this week, they got defensive tackles will be coming out tomorrow, edge rushers on Wednesday, safeties Thursday, and tight ends on Friday.
Okay.
Then interior offensive line, don't expect any Jags to show up on that. Offensive tackles, probably wouldn't expect any Jaguars to show up on that. Quarterbacks as we get into next week. Off-ball linebackers, wide receivers, corners. So that's going to be over the next week and a half or so. That they're going to be going through.
Interesting to see who makes it.
Yeah.
At what position.
Yeah. Running back, certainly one of the spots where you would expect they'd have a chance, right? With ETN being a top 10 running back.
I would think.
Right? So
I think he would be.
The list, it's not hard to figure out who number one is.
Yep.
That's CMC.
Yep.
McCaffrey. The only surprising thing about that is that he was number 2 last year. Yeah.
Yeah.
McCaffrey.
Yeah, right.
Being number 2 on any kind of running back list, whatever. But he is back in the number 1 spot this year. They got Breece Hall at 2.
Wow.
There with the Jets. Nick Chubb at 3. He was number 1 last year.
Okay.
I think it's interesting that they still have him that high.
I know, yeah. He didn't do much last year, did he?
Well, with the seriousness of the injury, trying to come back again for Nick Chubb, too. I get it. He's a supremely talented guy.
Yeah.
The last several years, and they even say it in the write-up on him. This one is complicated. Chubb has been the game's best pure rusher when healthy.
Yeah.
Right?
When healthy is always the key one.
And it's hard to determine when he's going to be healthy in 2024 even.
Right.
When's he going to be available to this Cleveland offense? But they still have him at 3
Yep. Okay.
on this list.
He's talented for sure.
Saquon Barkley
Yep.
at number 4.
Going to be interesting going to Philly, man.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah, no doubt. Jonathan Taylor at 5.
Okay.
Bunch of questions about him going into the season last year, whether or not he was going to be long-term with the Colts. Well, they got that worked out. He's going to be the Indianapolis running back for a while here up there with the Colts, but he's a number 5 on the list. Last year, he was a number 6.
Okay.
Still just 25 years old.
Oh, wow, no kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't have thought that.
Yep. Number 6, I think will surprise some people. It certainly surprised me. Bijan Robinson. The Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, no, I know who you're talking about.
And they included the highest ranking that they got from anybody on the list.
This is coming from players, right?
This is coming from
players, front
coaches,
office.
No players. Coaches, front office, scouts.
Coaches, front office, scouts, not players. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Bijan, number 6 on the list, he got at least 1 vote for number 1.
Wow.
On the list.
Wow.
Which is surprising.
Yeah.
As much as Atlanta ran the ball last year, he didn't have 1,000 yards. I'm not doubting that he's a talented enough back that him being a top 10 back doesn't surprise me all that much.
Yeah.
But there are names that we haven't heard yet that it's like, really, you're going to have him ahead of some of the names that I know we haven't heard.
Where's the big dog?
Right.
He's not even out there yet.
Right. Like that's an interesting one. But they got Bijan at number 6 here on the list. Josh Jacobs, 7.
Okay.
He's changing this year too. He's going from the Raiders to the Packers. We'll see what that does for him. He was last year the number 3.
Yeah, he was poised for a huge year with the Raiders.
Yep. He led the league in rushing 2 years ago.
Right.
Let's see. Number 8, you finally get to not the big dog.
Really?
Jahmyr Gibbs.
Oh, I like him though.
Number 8.
I'm not saying he's better than Derek, but geez, I'm surprised he's not a little higher. I mean, as far as talent's concerned, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. The highest vote he got was number 3 on the list. He was the back half of his season last year was pretty incredible.
Yeah, he's dynamite.
Up there in Detroit.
Yep.
Finally get to the big dog. Number 9, Derrick Henry. With Baltimore.
9th. Would you agree with that? Right now, today. Now, granted, he's not the Derrick Henry of old, but he's still pretty damn good. We couldn't stop his ass.
Yeah, I think I would have Henry ahead of Jahmyr Gibbs still for me. I would have
Bijan?
Henry. I think I would have him ahead of Bijan, and I think I'd have him ahead of Jacobs. It would be right there in that 5-6 range.
Yeah, I would think top 5.
I think it's a little fuzzy to figure out exactly what it's going to look like in that Baltimore offense.
Yeah.
Right, because they don't play what he played in Tennessee.
No, I know.
He's not going to be lined up as the guy dotting the I with Baltimore very often.
With, by the way, not great quarterback play. I mean, Tannehill maybe gave you a year, right? Maybe 2.
Yeah.
Other than that, he was the focal point and still was a beast.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But Derrick Henry, number 9 on the list, and they even talk about the Baltimore thing, what kind of fit he's going to be in that Baltimore offense. I'm curious to see what it's going to look like. I'm glad he's the AFC North's problem.
Yeah.
And no longer an AFC South problem.
Between him and Lamar, figuring out who's got the ball is going to be a challenge just to begin with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Lamar could pull that thing at any time or just let the beast run.
It's
interesting.
It's a top 10 list. We got 9 names.
I'm not feeling good, but I would have ETN top 10, I would think.
ETN is 10.
He is. All right. Way to go, Travis.
His highest ranking was number 4 on the list.
Okay.
Still just 25 years old. Last year, he was an honorable mention. I think he deserved more than that last year.
Yeah, I agree. Last year was a great year.
Right.
This year, just the offense, we all know the story. The offense never really clicked, and once it started clicking, then Kirk got hurt, and then Trev got hurt, and then the O-line went to crap, and there was no running game. The running game went to crap. I mean, we were every week, the per average kept going down and down and down. It wasn't pretty, but hopefully with every pieces, in place, and he should have a big year. Travis should have a really big year, man.
Agreed.
He's ultra talented. He breaks tackles, makes people miss. I'd like to see him even more in the passing game. I know you got a lot of weapons to feed the rock to, but
no doubt.
He's a challenge to, you could I think he could do a little C-Mac, put him in the slot.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when was it Urban? Wasn't Urban trying him as a wideout or something?
His rookie year going in, which it was the offseason, man.
Well, I know.
He was
playing around, seeing what's what. But he can run routes, and he's got good hands.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I would I'd like to see more of that.
The write-up on ETN here is actually pretty spot on. After missing his entire rookie year because of injury, ETN became a top 10 back with back-to-back 1,000-yard rushing seasons, 16 total touchdowns, nearly 100 receptions. Those went way up last year. One stat from last season perfectly describes ETN's explosion. He hit a max of 19.62 miles per hour when crossing the line of scrimmage.
Whoa.
Right?
Whoa.
You talk about explosive.
Holy cow. Think about that.
That's
5 yards, you're 20 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And not straight line.
No.
Damn.
One of the few 3-down backs, really good zone runner, makes people miss in space, an NFL coordinator said. Decent catching the ball and in pass protection. No major flaws, just not great in short yardage situations, which we know that's one of the big things they need to improve on going from last year into this season.
Well, Matt, remember, when they brought Tank in to do that, he was getting stuffed on 4th and 1. It happened like 3 or 4 times. Yeah. You're like, he's got to learn how to make these guys miss. Can't run over everybody.
Yeah.
And clearly you weren't running over anybody at least that point. I think, look, that zone, the zone running, it's all predicated on timing. It is. That back's got to hit that hole and the right hole at the right time, and then you got some real magic going. So hopefully they can do that. I still stand by. They're a pass-first offense, so their offense is going to run through the passing game, and then the run game will be, second, whereas opposed other teams do it the other way. But once that the passing game's got to work for the running game to work, I think, in Doug Peterson's offense.
Yeah, I saw one of the things they had on there with the write-up on Derrick Henry too, talked about his yards after contact, those kind of things, which he gets a lot of credit for that.
Yeah.
Etienne is among the league leaders in forced missed tackles the last 2 years. He led the league in forcing missed tackles last year. He happened to be doing it where he was getting hit 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage. A lot where that missed tackle turns into, all right, he turned it into 2, right? And had to do a really good job on that play to save them, create that 5 yards from where he got contacted. The year before, he was doing the same kind of stuff. He was getting hit 2 yards downfield, so 2 became 5 and 6.
Right.
A lot, which is, in my mind, why the yards per carry went down. I don't think Etienne got any worse. I thought he was actually a little bit better last year than he was the year before. But I think the amount of help he was getting from the offensive line declined significantly.
Yeah, that's what I was just kind of hard to tell when the O-line was getting beat
up. In 2023. And as I've said this entire offseason, with Etienne specifically, I think he's a Pro Bowl caliber running back in the league.
Yeah, I think he can.
I don't know if he will make a Pro Bowl this year. That's not what I'm saying. I think he's Pro Bowl caliber.
Yeah.
That's the kind of player he is. And as I said last year going into it, the reason I wasn't as high on Tank Bigsby as everyone else seemed to be is because that's how high I am on Etienne.
Yeah.
I didn't want to see his carries get cut down. I want him to touch the ball as much as he possibly can.
No, right.
If he's feeling good enough to carry the load, then he carries the load. And I feel that way in a lot of ways going into 2024 too. But I'm not surprised that an NFL team at that position is saying we got to take some of it off of him.
Yep.
Because we just can't afford to wear him and tear him down the way we have the last couple of years.
Well, then put a fullback in front of him from time to time.
I'm with you there
on
too.
Short yardage and goal line, then you don't ever have to take him out if you don't want to. It's easy to stop a one-back running game, especially in short yardage. I shouldn't say running game as a whole, but in short yardage it is much harder when you have someone in front of him. The one thing he does do is score touchdowns, Travis, and he had a bunch last year, so he should have a big year. Look, that first year sucked with the injury and all that, but he bounced back, and he should be feeling really good about himself going into 2024. And they should feel good about him, too. I'm sure they do, and now you just got to make sure that the offense is clicking. Remember last year, even the offense wasn't clicking even when they were 8-3. It was kind of weird. It was like sometimes it would be good, sometimes it would be really bad.
The defense was really good the first half.
Terrible on third down. You're like, how are you guys win? Like, defense is playing well, but the offense kind of sporadic. Yeah. You know what I mean? So hopefully this year they can hit the ground running.
We got Trevor Lawrence involved in our poll question today. What Jaguars player would have gotten your team vote for MVP after the 2023 season? Trevor Lawrence, Josh Allen, your options, as well as other reply with the name if you would have voted for somebody else in that poll question today. On the other side, we're going to ramp it up. Team MVP to league MVP. There are 7 teams in the National Football League that have never had a player win an MVP. An article was written about that this weekend. They also mentioned, along with the teams, who the biggest candidate would be going into 2024 for what that would look like. Obviously, in Jacksonville, who hasn't had a league MVP, that's going to be Trevor Lawrence. So we'll talk about how he ranks compared to the other guys, other teams that will be in that kind of bag going into 2024 as we continue along. Tony Smith, Tom McManus here with you on Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Hi, everybody. Mike Dempsey here for Pella Windows and Doors. Look, it's been a while since that golf ball crashed through my living room window, and I had to reassess my entire situation. Went with all new windows in my home with Pella Windows and Doors. And why not? They have great design, the strongest warranties in the industry, and the highest quality products. Look, I trust them in my home. That's the highest endorsement I can possibly give them. They look fantastic. They help my home be more energy efficient. Pella Windows and Doors. Check them out at PellaJacks.com or stop by the Pella showroom on Phillips Highway. That's Pella Windows and Doors.
Jaguars Today. From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL.
Want more Jags? Subscribe to the 1010XL Jaguars YouTube channel. Looking for more in-depth coverage of the Gators? Subscribe to the 1010XL Gators YouTube channel. Need your FSU fix? Well, subscribe to the 1010XL Seminoles YouTube channel. Your favorite team, one specific location.
At Honda, we appreciate all the comparisons to other vehicles. And no matter how many times they compare their vehicles to a Honda, only a Honda is a Honda. Remember, value, quality, safety, there is no substitute. Visit your local Honda dealer now and experience the difference.
If your ride is making strange noises, don't wait and make it worse. Come to Action Transmission on Merrill Road. My expert technicians can diagnose the problem and likely fix it fast. Experience the difference at Action Transmission on Merrill Road.
Hey folks, Curtis Dvorak here. Are you a golfer, pickleball player, or a concert lover? Well, if you said yes to any of those, join me for the first ever Patriot Games on Saturday, September 21st at the Yards in Ponte Vedra. All proceeds benefit Operation New Uniform, which is a transition training program for service members, veterans, and military spouses. For more information, visit onuvets.org. That's onuvets.org. Hope to see you there.
On the field, he brought the boom.
I'll always be a linebacker at heart.
He brings that attitude to the microphone.
I'm Jaguars Today's middle linebacker, Kyle McManus.
Friday from 10 to noon. Brought to you by Renewal by Anderson Windows and Doors on 1010XL.
You don't have to be a football star to get a signing bonus. The team at Republic Services needs your skills, and they're paying up to $5,000 for you to join the roster. You'll be joining a winner. As an essential business, the Republic Services trucks have not stopped rolling with hourly and weekly pay and better benefits and vacation packages than the rest of the league. Driver trainees, $1,000 sign-on bonus. CDL drivers, $3,000. Diesel mechanics, $5,000 bonus. Join the winning team at Republic Services today. Visit republicservices.com.
Equal opportunity employer.
You could win your share of over $450,000 in cash and prizes at the 5-Star Greater Jacksonville Kingfish Tournament. The fun starts July 13th with the inaugural kickoff beach tournament with a $50,000 cash first prize. There's a junior offshore tournament and one for the lady anglers. Best of all, the general offshore tournament winner takes home a 28T contender with twin 200 Yamahas. Register today at kingfishtournament.com.
DivorceMenOnly.com. This is Kenny Lay of Kenny Lay & Associates. Our firm specializes in representing men in family law. That's all we do. That's our only focus. We can help with all of your family law needs, such as divorce, custody, alimony, and child support. For over a decade, we have helped thousands of men with these types of issues. We even have an appellate division ready to challenge a judge's ruling. If you need a family law attorney, go to DivorceMenOnly.com. DivorceMenOnly.com. Offices, Jacksonville.
This is Keith Catlin for Catlin Truck Accessories, and we are so blessed to be in business for over 100 years. Over 100 years of the best product and customer service means you can count on Catlin. From Roll-and Lock bed covers to Lear toppers to Cam Locker toolboxes, Catlin Truck Accessories has you covered when it comes to your truck or van. We do those too. Got a fleet of vehicles? We can outfit them all.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
One name, one location, 100 years. You can count on Catlin.
Clearwater. John, I can't even mow my side yard. It's so soggy. Man, my builder sucks.
Brent, calm down. This is a common problem in neighborhoods where houses are built too close together. You need gutters and a properly installed French drain that will soak up subsurface water. We can completely dry it up.
So I can take my builder off my speed dial now, huh?
Yeah, we got you, buddy. Let that builder bitterness go.
Clearwater irrigation and drainage too.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Work it, make it, do it. Makes us all better, faster, stronger.
Tom McManus. Brought to you by Renewal by Anderson. A better way to a better window on 1010XL.
If only they knew.
Tommy, I was going to ask you about it too. I saw you tweet about the unsolicited gym advice.
Yeah.
And there's no context to it. Like you just tweeted.
I know.
That
I
there
didn't
was
want to get into it.
Unsolicited gym advice. And in my head, I was like, I got so many questions. I was like, was it good advice? Was it advice that made it feel like one of these moments where you could give some advice back? It's like, now we're gym buddies. Like, what exactly?
Well, first of all, if someone asks you for advice, you should give it to them.
Yeah.
You know, I was asked by a young kid. He was with his mom. It was kind of funny because they were in the Smith machine next to me. Planet Fitness has Smith machines. So they're squatting. And he's trying to tell his mother how to do it, and he's doing it totally wrong. He's like 12 years old, 13 years old. I'm just doing my pulls next to him. And anyway, his mom does it right, but he's not telling her she's doing it like he thinks she's doing it wrong. So he asked me, he's like, hey, is it supposed to hurt my neck when I squat? I said, no, I've been watching. You're doing it totally wrong, and your mom's doing it a lot right. So anyway, I gave him, just a couple quick tips. No big deal. Anyway, so I'm working out. I'm doing my back routine and doing some low rows. You sit down and you pull the thing. And, I got a couple 100 pounds on there. I'm just, moving it around. And I get done, and this young man who's probably in his 30s says, bro, you gotta wear you gotta wear wrist wraps. And I used to wear wrist wraps when I would be like shrugging 400 pounds. Why? I don't know. It was so stupid, but that's what you did. And you wore wrist wraps, to keep the bar, tight in your grip. Well, after a while, like 20, 30 years ago, I was like, well, I'd rather have a stronger grip, so I don't want to use wrist wraps. Whatever. It's like, you should use wrist wraps. I said, what? He totally, I got my headset in. I pulled it out. I'm like, what'd you say? He's like, you should use wrist wraps. And I said, for what? He goes, well, how do you know it's back strength and not grip strength? And I looked at him like, I don't give a bump. Like, my back feels fine. Like, why would you? I don't know. It threw me off. Like, why would you ever walk up to somebody and be like, telling them how to do something?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess people are allowed to think what they want, but I was like, don't bother me, man. Seriously. I don't like talking at the gym. I say hi to people. I'm always very friendly, but I'm there for a goal. I got to get in and out in about an hour and 15 minutes. I don't got time to be.
And now we know it's not wrist strength.
And it's not. Who cares? Yeah, my grip's strong. So's my back. I don't know. Together, they're strong. Together.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be back at it today at some point.
You ought to start giving unsolicited advice every time you go to the gym.
Hey, you're doing that wrong, buddy. Like, no, he's, and to be honest with you, I'm a nice guy. Some guys would take offense to that.
Yeah.
They might even punch him.
Yeah.
Like, mind your own business. Why are you even approaching me? Like, I don't know you, but I'm not like that.
Right.
So, totally.
Right. Look, if someone wants some advice at the gym, they might look for it.
Sure. Nothing wrong with asking for advice.
Right, but
don't give it unsolicited.
Offering that kind of moment is a little weird.
Yeah, I could have just said, little dude, you're not that big, so go give yourself advice.
Men have different rules in different areas. Like we have urinal rules when we're in a room that's got more than one. Right. You don't go right next to the guy if you don't have to.
That's right.
Those kind of things. We have those kind of rules for that kind of stuff. The gym is one of those areas. There is advice offered if it's asked for. Right? Like one of those kind of areas,
It's funny because I would always tell my girls, I'm like, gym etiquette, the right gym etiquette is like a little cosmo of what it should be like in the real world. If you have the right gym etiquette, what does that mean? You don't take someone's weights. You ask if someone's using the machine. You don't stand in front of somebody when they're in front of, that guy lifting in front of the mirror. Just little tiny things that we learned back when we were younger.
Yeah.
There was etiquette. You got to have good gym etiquette,
No doubt. 7 NFL franchises, as I mentioned when we were going into break, have never had a player win an NFL MVP. I saw NFL.com do a story about this over the weekend. I think the list has some thin spots, given that the breakthrough requires a player to win league MVP, right? Which means they aren't just competing to win the best player on one of these 7 teams that have never had one, but the best player in the league against the Mahomes and Burrows and those guys of the world. So it's a really, really steep grading curve here. But I think it's still interesting. How would you rank the odds for the teams and players that were listed in this article just against one another? And then maybe comment on whether or not you think they have a chance at league MVP this year. I will start before we go into the teams and the players on each of these teams. Do you know who the last non-quarterback to win the MVP was?
Last non-QB, C-Mac?
No.
How long ago? Give me a year.
12 years ago, wasn't it?
2012, yeah.
2012?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
That was a running back.
My brain works that good on a Monday morning?
Yeah, Adrian Peterson.
Oh, AP, okay.
That was the 2,000-yard season.
That's right.
In 2012, he won it. Okay. I think LaDainian Tomlinson and Sean Alexander won league MVP in back-to-back years.
That's when Sean had like 22 touchdowns or something like that.
Yeah, something crazy like that. But it's a quarterback award. Pretty much always has been.
Sure.
Right? So it's hard to have – if you're one of these 7 teams and the player they put on the list isn't a quarterback, you're probably out of the running going into 2024. But the teams and the players that they mentioned, Arizona, Kyler Murray, Houston, C.J. Stroud. Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence. New Orleans, Alvin Kamara. That one you can just kind of toss out.
Yep.
The New York Jets with Aaron Rodgers. The, Philadelphia with Jalen Hurts, and Tampa Bay with Baker Mayfield. So only the one gets completely thrown out. Aaron Rodgers, I think, is probably the most interesting name on the list. He's the only active player with more than 2 MVPs.
Right.
Currently going. Mahomes and Lamar Jackson both have 2. Aaron Rodgers has 4. 2011, 14, 20, and 21.
Total.
Peyton Manning is the only player in league history with 5.
Okay. Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So he's in rarefied air right now. We all know how last season went. And when it happened last year, when the Achilles did what it did to him last year, we all said, oh, we're probably never going to see Aaron again.
No, right.
You know, that's the end of it. And he's going to play for the New York Jets here in 2024. What kind of chance do you think you still give him to be in that kind of conversation?
I think a pretty good chance. I mean, they upgraded their offensive line. They got a ton of weapons. Breece Hall, great back. Their defense is very good. Aaron can still sling it. He's a little cuckoo, don't get me wrong, but I don't care about that. I'm just talking on-field stuff. He can still get it done. So I think it would be pretty high. And let's be honest, the NFL loves a great comeback. And if he has a big year and the Jets are in the playoffs or, pretty close, or I think they'd have to be in the playoffs, he might win it, depending on what his stats are. I think Trevor's got to throw 30-plus touchdowns. Mm-hmm. They all do, right? And as a quarterback, I would think.
If you're talking MVP, it's
got to be that kind of year, right? 30 touchdowns, 8 picks, just ridiculous amounts of yards, yada, yada, yada.
With the quarterbacks that were mentioned there,
yeah,
who do you think is the most likely to hit those kind of marks? With Murray, Stroud, Lawrence, Rodgers, Hurts, Mayfield. I mean, Jalen Hurts was second in the MVP 2 years ago.
Yeah, no, I know. He had a down year last year, but they said he changed a little bit. I saw that when he got that big Johnny. So hopefully he comes back down to earth and gets into the film room and gets ready. Adding Saquon should help him, I would think. I'm going to say, call me crazy, I think Rodgers has the best chance out of all of them because I still think he can play at a high level. He's got to stay healthy like they all do. I would say I'd put Trevor ahead of CJ right now. I would. I'd put him ahead of Baker's pretty. No, I'd put him ahead of Baker. Mm-hmm. I'd put him like third, maybe.
Yeah.
He's got. Look, we've been through it. He's got the tools to do it. A lot's got to happen for him to do it. I mean, look, the most touchdowns he's thrown is 25, and he had a great year. That was 2 years ago, right? Mm-hmm. So. Can he get to 30-plus? Yeah. You got the weapons. I tell you what, it's do or die time, in that regard, because you got everything. They did what they did with the line. They gave you the weapons. You got ETN. But, yeah, I think he should. I don't know. With Baker's Kyler, I don't trust Kyler at all. I don't know. I know he's a great athlete. He did play well last year overall. I know he can. I know.
It's hard to.
I just don't think he's very clutch.
League MVP is likely going to be on one of the 4 best regular season teams in the league. Yeah. Right? Like the guy who's going to win the MVP award, odds are they're going to be the quarterback in all likelihood for one of the 4 best teams in football that year, if not the best team in football that year, right? Like that's generally how that award has gone down. Lamar Jackson.
Like Mahomes, Lamar,
Lamar was on the best regular season team in football last year.
The Packers were great for many years.
Like that kind of thing. And they put up numbers while they're doing it. Their team is winning the way they're winning because their quarterback is having the kind of season they're having.
True.
I think with the teams that we just went through there, I can't see the scenario where Arizona's that.
I don't see them.
Right?
I think Jalen, you got to throw Jalen up there because he could have a big bounce back.
Jalen and Aaron Rodgers, that's why they would be 1 and 2 for me too.
Yeah, I could see that.
Because I could see that. And I think Houston and Jacksonville are kind of right on the edge with the Jets to me. Yeah. I would have Philadelphia at the top of that list for what I expect the team to achieve going into this year. But I think I would probably have the Jets at number 2 on that list for me at this point in time because their defense is
insane,
rock solid, right? Yep. And if they get Aaron of a couple of years ago, the Jets are going to be.
And if those tackles can play full.
Right. A scary team potentially here in 2024. And I think I would put Jacksonville and Houston, who, as I've said, I think they're neck and neck for the division in my mind. I would put them right behind them.
Who am I missing? That's 5. You got Arizona. You got the Jets.
It's
that's 4.
Baker and Kamara.
Yeah, Kamara's out. Forget him.
Yeah,
Baker, I don't know. Good year last year,
Sure.
Tough guy. Can play, I like the way he plays, but I don't know about MVP, and I don't know about Tampa as a team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think that they'll be.
I'd put him 5th probably.
At their top, I would think they would be a team that was competing about where they were last year.
Yeah.
They won a bad division.
Right.
And I think this year, if they're going to be in the playoffs, it's going to likely be because their division just isn't very good.
Yeah.
And they'll be the best of a bad division. But I don't think Baker's going to achieve at the kind of level where he can overtake a Mahomes.
Right.
No. and that's.
And the team won't either.
Right. Like,
so
that's the kind of range you're talking about. Like, any of these players, if Trevor Lawrence was going to win the league MVP this year, I think the Jags probably have to win a minimum 13 games.
Yep.
Right, is what I think.
High seed.
Right.
Win the division.
Right.
Yep.
Like, he has to be a 35 touchdown pass guy, and the team win minimum 13, maybe 12 would be enough, like depending on how the rest of the conference went. But I would think the number needs to be 13.
Yeah.
And
That's
the
a lot.
quarterback
It's a big
needs to be and the quarterback needs to be a guy that throws 35 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Right? I think those are kind of the minimum marks when you start talking league MVP.
And think about it. I mean, last year he went 8-8 because he didn't play against Carolina. 9-8 the year before. To go to 13-4.
Yeah.
That's a special year, but that's why they become MVPs because they had a special year and the team had a special year. So let's hope that's the case.
Yeah.
Look, it's going to be fun to watch his development even more because I know that they've been working on a lot of things to hone things in.
Sure.
And he's doing his part too. So, this should be a good year. It should be, think about it. I only played linebacker, but my 4th year, I mean, man, I could take on the world. I'd played enough football. I'd been hurt too. I tore my ACL, but I started enough games in 96, including the playoffs. I played enough, where I felt great going in. There was no lack of confidence whatsoever. I was prepared and ready to go. And I think when you get into those 3rd, 4th, 5th years, that's when you really mature. Look, now with Trev, congrats on the baby. Congrats on the gender reveal, all that great stuff. Nothing like a girl dad, right, as I know firsthand. But, maybe that, hey, the contract, baby on the way. You're our guy for 10 years at least. That's big. And I tell you what, we all know this. You win Jacksonville Super Bowl, man. Your family lineage is royalty forever and ever.
Yeah. Trevor Lawrence is
eternity.
He's a talented enough player that if he ever wins a league MVP, when he does it won't surprise me.
No, I don't think so. No, I don't. Yeah. He's got the tools to do it.
Absolutely. And I'm with you. It is year 4, and I expect him to be able to put a lot of things together.
Yeah.
Going into this year that we haven't seen him quite put together, the pieces of that puzzle.
Just consistently. Yeah.
Like, I do expect more consistency from Trevor Lawrence this year, and I think it opens the door for a player that I think is MVP caliber to start exploring some of those depths sooner rather than later for the kind of player that I think he has the potential to be. We'll see if 2024 is the year that kind of unlocks some of that for him.
Yep.
There's a lot of unknowns with the team as far as how the wide receiver group is going to be put together. It is.
Yeah.
We were all very excited about that group going into last year with the addition of Calvin Ridley and what that was going to do to open some things up on offense. Well, not so much for a bunch of different reasons. It didn't quite work out that way.
Right.
They've attacked it a different way this year. They spend a first-round pick. They go out and get Gabe Davis. So they added 2 guys to the group that really are legit, take the top off the defense guys.
Yep.
What kind of benefits do the other guys on the team experience having added that legitimately to the room for a guy that I think is among the best deep ball throwers in the National Football League? The dividends, we don't know exactly what that's going to look like, but the question is certainly open. Want to talk to you, Tommy, about it's something we've touched on before, but where do we see the biggest remaining holes being for the team going into this year? And I want to ask you when we get back to What about the team going into 2024 gives you the most confidence?
Okay.
And what about the team makes you the most nervous going into the 2024 season? We'll kick that around on the other side as we continue along, getting into the second hour now of Jaguars Today here on this Monday on 1010XL.
Jaguars Today for the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios.
This is Green Bay Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers.
This is Leon Washington from Andrew Jackson High School, Florida State University, and the New York Jets.
You're listening to 1010XL.
1010XL.
92.5 FM.
Save money while beautifying your home with Renewal by Anderson with their energy-efficient, custom-built replacement windows and doors. Their exclusive Fibrex product is chic, tough, easy to maintain, and twice as strong as vinyl. Right now, buy 4 windows or patio doors and get the 5th free, plus 0 down, no payments, and no interest for 18 months. Restrictions apply. Renewal by Anderson, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit rbafla.com for details.
License number CGC 1527613.
Craving a cold one? Well, zip into one of the great gate locations you see all over town and pick up a cold Bud Light, or a Natty, or an Ultra, maybe a 12-pack of the King of Beers, or some cold Coronas. It's all happening at your local gate convenience store. Slide on in today.
Hey folks, Nick in here for Zero Res. You and I know Zero Res loves cleaning carpets in your home. But did you know Zero Res can also clean the carpets where you work? Take a look at the floors where you work, and if they need cleaning, suggest to the boss they call Zero Res. For the month of July, Zero Res offering 20% off all commercial carpet cleaning. Call Zero Res, and they'll come out and give you a free estimate on what it will take to get the job done. Zero Res, man, you spell it forward. Zero Res, you spell it backwards. Zero Res, it's the right way to clean.
If you're searching for a new fence installation, challenge yourself to find a fence company with more positive online reviews than Superior Fence and Rail. With over 3,000 reviews and a 4.9 out of 5 review range, Superior Fence and Rail is, well, superior. So take the online challenge or let their professional team show you what superior service looks like. Superior Fence and Rail, where quality matters.
SuperiorFenceandRail.com. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Moms and dads looking for some serious summer fun for your kids? Then check out I-9 Sports Flag Football Tournament Series. It'll run through June and July, and you can put a team together and join in on the action. Ages 4 to 14. Go to i9sports.com for all the details. It's happening at Duval Charter School at Bay Meadows at their brand new turf facility. If you've got a youth flag football team and want to put one together, get ready for the I-9 Sports Flag Football Tournament Series this summer. Check it out at i9sports.com.
Imagine waking up this time next week and being 100% debt-free from credit cards, car loans, and personal loans. Hey, Prosser here. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit can make it happen. Homeowners are turning their home equity into cash almost instantly. With Loan Pronto's AI-based system, you can get approval in about 10 minutes with almost no documentation, no appraisal, and no hassle. You can get hundreds of thousands of dollars out of your home. Use that money to pay off all your other loans. The average homeowner saves over $850 a month doing this. Listen, your home value's way up. You can use that to wipe out all those credit cards. Get some money for a home improvement. Literally, hundreds of thousands are at your fingertips, and approval is just minutes away. So call now, 904-999-1508. 904-999-1508, or go to loanpronto.com. NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, equal housing lender.
AC replacement? If your AC unit is ready to go kaput, then it's time to call Florida Home AC. With over $3,000 in tax credits waiting for you on select systems, take advantage of it. Call 777-4300. Get Florida Home AC to cool you off.
This is Keith Catlin for Catlin Truck Accessories, and we are so blessed to be in business for over 100 years. Over 100 years of the best product and customer service means you can count on Catlin. From Roll and Lock bed covers to Lear toppers to Cam Locker toolboxes, Catlin Truck Accessories has you covered when it comes to your truck or van. We do those too. Got a fleet of vehicles? We can outfit them all.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
One name, one location, 100 years. You can count on Catlin.
Here's your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update, sponsored by Kuhn Flowers. After having spent some of the offseason with new defensive coordinator Ryan Nielsen, Jag linebacker Josh Allen, while at the SAC Summit, shared his thoughts on the change at D.C.
I mean, so far so good. Put the ball in my court, let me beat me. Thinking his defense ends need to be elite. Needs to be those guys. I can only see myself going up.
Jag rookie and first-round pick Brian Thomas Jr., after the offseason, says he's ready for football.
Just being able to get out there and play football again. It's been like a long offseason, just going through like all the phases and stuff, a combine, then all the other things. Just being able to get back out there and play football.
It's been a busy free agent period in the NBA that included the Orlando Magic. The team re-signed Franz Wagner to a 5-year deal, and over the weekend officially signed two-time NBA champion Kendavius Caldwell-Pope. That's your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update. I'm Sam Nelson.
At 11:04, it's 89 degrees. Time and Sin brought to you by Bueller Air Conditioning. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Tom McManus.
Brought to you by Renewal by Anderson. A better way to a better window on 1010XL.
Tony Smith, Tom McManus here with you. Dylan Denmark in as well. Mike Dempsey on assignment. He'll be back a week from today.
All right.
Next Monday is, again, we're about 3 weeks away from Jaguars training camp. It's creeping up on us.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Good tune, by the way, there, Pac. I was watching a Guns N' Roses documentary this weekend, or maybe last week, about their Use Your Illusion albums. Axl was a pain in the butt, man. He would show up late all the time, like hours. Like, what are you doing? Anyway, what are you gonna do?
What are you doing?
Right. Come on, man. You're singing. Go sing. We're singing Friday night, by the way, Tone.
There you go.
Back at Culhane's at the beach, baby, 8 o'clock. We'll be rocking and rolling. Gonna be fun. Dad Bod's back at it.
Very nice. I know it was it a couple weeks ago y'all had your last gig?
Yeah, we had Finn McCool's. Well, those Irish pubs, I don't know, McManus, Irish pubs, beers, they all go together, I guess, I guess so.
Bringing the joy to the city, Tommy. There you go.
Do my best.
Absolutely. I asked you before the break about what about the team going into 2024. We'll get to the most nervous here in a moment. But what about the team going into 2024 gives you the most confidence?
Pass rush.
Okay.
Yeah. I think adding Eric Armstead, drafting the two guys out of LSU, seeing if Devon can make something happen. Add that to the development of Trayvon, who I think is going to explode this year, and just Josh Allen having another big year. So I feel really good about our D-line, really. Now, I want to see it. I want to see them perform. I saw, I think it was a few days ago, it was on Twitter, and there was something about Eric Armstead. A lot of people wished him best of luck, a lot of fans from out there. And a lot of them said when healthy, he's very dominant. He's got to stay healthy. So that's, health is obviously a big one. But I think pass rush, I think Josh is going to continue to evolve. And I think Trayvon's ready for what I saw at the end of last year, just the natural dip happening, how he setting guys up, how he's getting around those tackles. I think he's going to be a monster.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about
throwing Gibson too, by the way, if I can. So.
Well, it does feel like the edge group specifically, and it does sound like they're going to play more 4-3 than 3-4 this year.
Yeah, they're 4.
Ultimately. But their edge group is pretty thin, especially compared to their defensive interior, which their defensive interior has been thin for a while here in town. But it does feel like that group is a little bit deeper going into this year. Maybe their deepest group on the team, honestly. They're the interior of the defensive line.
Yeah, you could make a case for that.
Right. And their edge, if Josh Allen or Trayvon Walker were to have to miss any time, I mean, they're in a bit of a bind.
Yeah.
Right at that spot. If either of those guys were to have to miss any time for whatever reason. I think Travis Gibson is a fine player.
Yeah.
And he's a fine guy to have as your third.
In a rotation.
Right. But as you know, in the NFL, your rotation, especially along the defensive line, linebackers, y'all get to play every play.
Right.
Basically, if they need you to. You're on the field the whole time. Foyer's not coming off the field ever.
Right.
Your two corners aren't coming off the field ever. Odds are at least one of your safeties isn't coming off the field ever.
Right.
Defensive line's a different thing. And they have a team that is put together right now where Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker have to play close to 85% of the snaps.
Yep.
Right? Like, it's just the situation that they happen to be in going into 2024. Now, they have flexibility on the interior with what they can do because they do have Eric Armstead and Roy Robertson-Harris and Devon Hamilton and Mason Smith, whatever he's going to be. And Adam Gotsis is a fine veteran player.
Yep.
And whatever's going to happen with Jordan Jefferson and Tyler Lacey and Ledbetter. Like, they have a bunch of guys that can split up some of those reps so that nobody has to be exhausted. But it does feel like at edge, specifically, they have two guys that they're going to have to ride until they cannot be ridden anymore.
True.
In that group.
But that's why they are who they are.
Sure.
And that's, that happens at a lot of positions, right? They're going to ride ETN. They're going to ride Trevor. They're going to ride all of them.
Yeah.
As long as they can to see what they can, bring a championship. So I think as far as starters are concerned, in the pass rush and that rotation, I think they're in a good spot right now.
Mm-hmm. What about the other side of that? What makes you the most nervous about the team going into the year?
I got to say O-line as a whole, but left tackle, because if Cam's healthy, then we're fine. I mean, it's good, I think he's a solid left tackle in the game. If he's not, now I'm a little concerned. And look, I know everyone's, we got 3 started tackles. First of all, you don't know if Javon Foster's a starting tackle. You have no idea if he is. Of course, you got Anton, who's rock solid. Walker, he could fill in. He could fill in, but can he be a full-time starter? I mean, he hasn't shown that, or he would be a full-time starter.
Yeah.
So I'm a little concerned about that. Now, what's the caveat is I don't know anything about Javon Foster other than where he went to school and that he was a first-team All-SEC left tackle twice.
Mm-hmm.
So that's impressive. But I want to, obviously you want to see it go against our own guys to start and then against others. But could he be a gem that, hey, what did Trent say? I thought Trent was BSing when he said it, but he did say it before the draft. There are tackles that could start that that are in the 4th and 5th rounds this year in the draft. So maybe he's right. I don't know. So that would be my concern. And then look, what if one of the guards goes down? Okay, Cooper. We don't know.
We'll see.
Looks, he's got the energy. Big guy. He's athletic. They like him. Just have to see him in action. What if both of Sheriff and Ezra get, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So, but it's hard. Like with,
I
look at this question more like the starters, the start, because injuries are going to happen. I mean, come on, knock on wood. If Trev ever gets hurt, we're doomed.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, the Jags are far from the only team in the league that if their starting offensive lineman started getting hurt would be going, what do we do? Yeah. Right? Like, there aren't a whole lot of teams in the league that have offensive linemen are really hard to find.
Yeah.
And it's hard to build that. Like, who in your mind, Tommy, has the best offensive line in football?
Who has the best offensive line in football? I would say the Cowboys, although now that Tyron's gone, we'll see how they fare. Mm-hmm. They got a great offensive line.
Well, we can look at Dallas. I'll pull up Dallas and
how do you measuring it? Like
right.
Sacks given up, yards per carry. What are we talking here?
But with the starters that Dallas has, and we have an idea who those guys are. I mean, Zach Martin's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
When everything is said and done, right? So they have whatever they got on the offensive line. They just drafted Guyton in the first round,
right,
to replace the left tackle, right?
Yep.
But it's the depth of the Dallas Cowboys, right? So now I'm just going to the number 2 spot on the depth chart at all these spots. Chuma Adoga.
Okay.
All right. TJ Bass, Cooper Beebe, Asim Richards, and Earl Bostic Jr.
Yeah. The Cooper kid. That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
Like Jacksonville is not the only team in the league,
definitely,
where if they suffer 2 injuries along their offensive line, there's a lot of teams that are going to be going,
suffer. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
We got to figure something else out here. There's just not, I don't think there's any such thing as depth in the NFL truly on the offensive line.
I agree.
I think they have depth at tackle, right? It's a little bit unknown, because, like you said, we don't know exactly what Javon Foster is going to look like in the NFL. But I think the Jaguars are among the handful of teams that they have 3 guys that can play either tackle spot and start at that spot from day one if they needed them to, and they'd feel okay, right? Even Walker Little, if something happened in preseason and one of those 2 guys went down and he had to play left or right tackle going into the year, it'd be like, not ideal, but we're not dead, right? With Walker having to play the spot. And I think they're one of the few teams in the league that even feel that confident about a backup, right, on their offensive line. So from that perspective, I think they're kind of okay, but I don't think their front-end guys are great.
Yeah.
I think there's the opportunity for Anton to grow into a great player. I think you can see him turning into that kind of player. I think Cam Robinson is a solid left tackle in the league.
He is, when healthy.
Right. Like, that's how I feel about him going into the year. I don't think he's a top 10 guy, as we went through that list earlier in the show.
Right.
But I think he's a solid guy. If he has to be your left tackle, you're okay, with him being in that kind of position. Yeah. And I don't think they have – I thought when they thought when they signed Sheriff that they were getting that. They were getting a top 10 guard in the NFL.
Yep.
And it hasn't really happened for him. And I think a lot of the hasn't happened for him can be explained by the injuries he's had to deal with since he got here. So maybe a completely healthy season for him. We'll see that, from
that's
Sheriff.
That's what we're hoping for
this year. But I don't think they're a team. Their front-end talent isn't great. It's at its highest level, I think it's okay. And I think the improvement they get at center with Morse being in instead of Fortner, who hurt them in so many ways last year, just getting pushed around in those short yardage situations. It's the hopeful growth the offense can have without the center really handicapping what they're doing on short yardage plays, especially at some point this year. I don't think they have to be great, even in those situations. I think they can't be as miserably bad as they were last year. And if they can just get back
bad all year, though.
Right. If they can just get back to okay, I think they'll be fine.
Yeah.
And there's the potential for them to get back to okay. But my expectations for the offensive line are probably very much in line with yours.
Yeah.
I think that is kind of the high watermark for them is they'll be okay this year on the offensive line.
Again, you can protect your O-line by how fast you get the ball out, too, and the play
Trevor
call.
does that very well.
You can really do that. So they got to be better than okay. I mean, they don't have to be great, but they've got to be pretty darn good. I'll take them 2 years. 2 years ago, they were a good offensive line.
They were.
They were. They weren't like, extraordinary, but they were top 10 offensive line without question.
Far exceeded expectations.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, granted, Jawan Taylor had probably the best year of his career, right, that year. Cam had a great year as well. They were solid. They were solid O-line. So hopefully they can get back to that. I mean, we were raving about Phil Rosher 2 years ago. Last year, and it's not the O-line coach's fault per se, but it's his O-line. But they did. They started faltering when Kirk went down. I mean, I know it's not just one player, but he's kind of the glue to this whole offense to make things happen. And he's one of Trevor's most trusted guys. And then Trev gets hurt. You know how we know the story.
Yeah.
So they just look. I don't know. I'm sure some people on the list or would answer that corner's a concern.
Sure.
I think they've addressed corner though. I know Darius is gone. I wouldn't probably let him go, but whatever. He's gone. Darius Williams. But you bring in a guy in Darby who, again, I hate these monikers but we got him on a lot when healthy. But he can play press man. He's a veteran that Nielsen likes. They drafted the 2 young kids. They really like Jones. We'll see about Prince. You know what I mean? I mean, they've addressed that. I don't feel like they really address the offensive line that much.
The corner group feels wide open because we don't know exactly what anyone's going to be asked to do, except Tyson Campbell's going to be one of the guys on one side or the other, right? Like, we know he's going to be in that kind of role.
And Darby is going in, too, I think.
Right.
I think he'll be your at least starting
the guy starting up on the opposite
and then we'll
side.
See what happens.
Now, I hear, we hear from Hayes Carline, who thinks that guy might actually be Jarian Jones.
Oh, I know. Great.
When everything is – so it leaves some of these options open. They bring in some safeties that have that kind of versatility, too. They have – a bunch of guys that can be asked to do a bunch of different things, which puts all of us in a position going into this season at this point going, I don't know exactly what it's going to look like.
Yep.
I don't know who's going to be playing where or how much they're going to be asked to do what.
Yep.
I don't know. It's a brand new defense for him, too, so we don't know exactly what that's going to look like for the team. So it does feel like I can understand fans looking at it and saying, I have no idea. So that's where my concern is.
Yep.
I just don't know.
Yep.
And I think I'm with you. I think offensive line is more a concern for me than the corners are, ultimately.
Yep.
But I do think those two groups are probably the two I would put at the top as the ones that I am most concerned about. But the corner room is more about who's going to do what and what exactly that's going to look like.
I mean, I'm not concerned about it, but how is the three backers going to line up in base? That's going to be interesting to find out.
Absolutely.
You know, who's going to play nickel, in that? Is it still Devin Lloyd and Foye? You'd think it would be, right?
Sure.
But are they going to move Devin? Can he play Sam? Can Ventrell Miller play Will? Can Muma play Sam? I mean, these are things that are going to be worked out. But I'm not concerned because Aluakin's so good and Devin's good in my opinion. I think he's a good player.
Those two guys are going to be on the field all the time.
Yeah, they're good players.
They're trying to figure out, who's going to be the guy going to that strong side when they go to three linebackers. Right. It is a question going into the year. We won't begin to find out the answers to that till they're hitting somebody.
That's right.
When we get into training camp and preseason.
Yeah, and look, you talk about, Fortner getting blown back. Well, that D-line was getting blown back too in certain games. You can't play linebacker with those guys in your lap per se. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, I think corner and the secondary is one of our on paper, one of our stronger units. I'm a little biased on corner look, B started as a rookie and he felt like he was a veteran from day one.
Sure.
So to me, a rookie can start at corner all day long. Easy. Especially if you're playing man and you're good at man. Because you got that guy.
That's the job. That guy's my job.
See that guy right there? You just take him wherever he goes. That's a nice job to have, especially if you can do it. So it doesn't worry me that there could be a starting, rookie corner on this team. And look, I know Nielsen said it different. The corners are the key to get the pressure. I think pressure is the key to help the corners, but whatever, they work together. So with good pressure, you can have a rookie corner with no problems.
No doubt. I tend to agree with you. I think pressure probably produces better coverage in a lot of ways. But when you have guys
together, they do work together.
2017 they had two guys that were all pro level corners.
Right.
For a year.
Right.
Good luck, everybody else. If you have any kind of pass rush, and they had that going that season too, but they knew they could do it sending 4 if they wanted to.
Right.
Because the guys on the back end could do whatever you asked them to do.
That's right.
For that season.
Yeah, we had a good D-line that year.
And they were, all of it worked together, to create the kind of results that they got with Saxonville that year.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the mayor doing his thing up front. Going to take a look around the league. Not a whole lot going on around the league, but a couple of stories from around the National Football League as we continue along, as well as Shad Khan talking a few times here in the last week or so, and we'll talk about how differently he's talking about the football team he owns as far as his expectations and exactly what that means for the team going forward as well. Tony Smith, Tom McManus here with you on Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Hey everybody, Mike Dempsey here for Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Well, I made it through the July 4th holidays and didn't add on any extra pounds. That's the beauty of Awaken 180. Not only do you lose the weight at a rapid rate when you first start out, you set a goal weight and they're going to help you reach that. Once you hit that goal weight, Awaken 180 has fantastic coaching and guidance that's going to help you keep that weight off. They're going to manage you through the holidays. You're going to have a plan of attack. You're going to be able to eat and enjoy life. Look, you eat to lose weight with Awaken 180. That's the big key. There's no medications. There's no exercise required. It's just a sound eating plan. You learn what to eat, when to eat, how much to eat, and all of a sudden your body turns into a fat-burning machine. Over 21,000 satisfied customers. Can't be wrong. You can be the next. Call 844-346-1800 for Awaken 180 Weight Loss. That's 844-346-1800 or schedule your consultation online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Jaguars Today from the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL. Climb aboard the Jacksonville Sports Radio train. All aboard! 1010XL.
The
Does the building you go to work in every day need a little love and attention? Jason Parker here with Performance Painting. Great companies take great care of the buildings their staff and customers walk into every day. If the building you're in doesn't match the vision you have for your company, we can help. Go to performance-painting.com. Our highly trained team makes the difference. Quality coatings applied with pride.
Performance Painting. Joe C. for CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living. And if your dream is to create that space where you're living large in your backyard, then you need to get with the good people at CSS. They put a gas log in our fireplace, an awesome fire pit out back where the kids can toast s'mores and we can just hang out and watch the game. It's all part of your outdoor living experience with CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living. You dream it, we build it. CSS.
Hey, David here with Royal Pest Services. Men, are you struggling in the bedroom? Do spiders and roaches have you scared? Visit RoyalPestServices.com and let us help you get that man card back. Guaranteed results on our first visit.
Are you feeling the heat? It's time to cool things down with Duck Duck Air Conditioning. Contact us today at 904-862-6769 or online at duckduckac.com. Duck Duck Air Conditioning to keep you cool and comfortable all year round.
Need or want cash? Beaches Jewelry and Pawn has cash available. Ready to buy guitars, surfboards, jewelry, firearms, tools, and especially gold. They need it all, selling or pawning. Get cash on the spot at Beaches Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
Go inside your home team's locker room with Jags beat reporter Hayes Carline.
Check out my blog at 1010xl.com
so you can catch all the news and nuggets you need to know.
My blog is brought to you by Roland Reese Plumbing,
where quality and experience count.
I feel like I'm constantly cleaning hair off my bathroom floor. At least my Swiffer Sweeper makes it easy. Sweeper heavy-duty dry cloths have ultra-thick pads to trap and lock hairs, like a hair magnet. And when I'm finished cleaning up my hair, Sweeper takes care of his too. Now the hair's gone. All thanks to Swiffer. Try Swiffer Sweeper heavy-duty dry cloths. I promise you'll love them or your money back. And also try Swiffer Sweeper Wet to make quick work of tough, sticky messes.
I'm Jeff Middlecoff with Trustline Mortgage. My business partners, Alan Tyre, Bill Pappas, and Ken Rimley, have been helping first-time home buyers with their mortgage financing all over Florida for 34 years. First-time home buyers can get no or low down payments, anywhere from 0 to 3.5% down. As a first-time home buyer with Trustline Mortgage, you get added benefits for doing your loan with us, like lower rates on your mortgage insurance and lower closing costs. Oh, and did I forget to mention that Trustline gives first-time home buyers better mortgage interest rates? Here's the bottom line. Trustline Mortgage wants to help first-time home buyers accomplish your goal of home ownership. That's why Trustline Mortgage is offering the best first-time home buyer benefits around. Period. Trustline Mortgage delivers with no and low down payments, lower closing costs, and better interest rates. Call Trustline Mortgage today at 381-LOAN. Yes, 381-LOAN to find out how we can help you buy your dream home. Or visit our website at trustlinemortgage.com. Trust your instincts and follow the line to Trustline Mortgage.
Certain restrictions apply. See office for details. Trustline is an equal housing opportunity. MLS number 331480.
1010XL Weekly is out now. Mia here, and text the word weekly to subscribe to our new 1010XL newsletter and for a chance to win Jaguars and concert tickets. Get an inside look at local sports, trending players, station info, and chances to win prizes all year long.
I'm Patrick Young, inviting you to the Florida SBDC's Network Small Business Success Summit, August 19th and 20th at the Sawgrass Marriott in Ponte Vedra. If you're ready to learn, network, and be inspired, I'll be delivering a keynote message you won't want to miss. Secure your spot today by registering at floridasbdc.org. Hey, there's no time to waste. Right now is the right time. I hope to see you at the Small Business Success Summit in August.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. He's number 55.
Tom McManus.
Brought to you by Renewal by Anderson. A better way to a better window on 1010XL.
Want to talk about what Shad Khan has said here in the last week or so, Tommy, but before we get into some of that, let's take a quick look around the rest of the National Football League.
Now, gems around the NFL, brought to you by Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacks Beach.
Carolina Panthers VP of Player Personnel Adrian Wilson is no longer with the team. He was hired to that position with the Panthers in February in 2023. Adrian Wilson was the GM name attached to Byron Leftwich potentially being here in Jacksonville before Shad Khan wound up hiring Doug Peterson a couple of years ago. Minnesota Vikings rookie cornerback Kyrie Jackson, along with two of his high school football teammates, Isaiah Hazel and Anthony Litton Jr., were killed after a car crash early on Saturday morning in Prince George's County, Maryland. The investigation into the cause of the three-car accident that resulted in the deaths of Jackson, Hazel, and Litton is still ongoing, with investigators saying that alcohol may have been a contributing factor in the crash. The Vikings selected Jackson in the 4th round of the draft this year.
Awful.
Yeah.
So sad.
It's a terrible story.
No doubt. No doubt. He was a well-liked guy, too, from what all three of them. Very, very, very nice young men.
Yeah, no doubt. As I mentioned, Shad Khan speaking after the deal got done. We got a new stadium on the way here in Jacksonville, or a renovated stadium. It's a new stadium in my head, and always will be.
Pretty much.
Until we get this thing actually put together. But that deal getting done a couple of weeks ago, Shad Khan's been talking to everybody. He's got to be in as good a mood as we've seen him since he got here to Jacksonville. But one of the things that he keeps talking about, I saw it in his sit-down with Mike DiRocco and John Oehser here in the last week and a half or so, who've had the chance to talk to him. The theme I picked up on was the culture shift, right, in Jacksonville that Shad seems to be seeing. I know he's put it as, it was nice to make the playoffs every now and then, in his first 10 years here. Not a whole lot of success on the field, obviously, for the football team. But him talking about with where they've invested the money, with the way that they've built things up here, or especially here in the last 2-3 years, that the expectation for him now, going in, that we should be a playoff contender. We need to be in the playoffs every year.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And look, he's the owner. He doesn't have a whole lot to do with the football decisions that are being made. Since Shad has got here, I've seen him as the type of owner that goes, you need to spend what on who? Go.
Yep.
That's been my feel on Shad Khan since he became the owner here in Jacksonville. But culture is one of those words, Tommy.
Yep.
And I'm probably guilty of oversimplifying it whenever we talk about it, because in my head, good culture is a winning culture. Bad culture is a losing culture. And every time I say it, I also have that other side of my head that's going, it's got to be more than that. It's got to be more than that. Like, it has to be more in depth than that. You've been in these locker rooms. You've been a part of cultures here in the NFL.
Yep.
Is it as simple as good culture is a winning culture, bad culture is a losing culture at this level?
Well, yeah. I mean, because a bad culture means you've got cancers in that locker room, and it's going to blow up. We saw that in 2017. Maybe cancer is a strong word, or after 2017. It all blew up. Everybody wanted their individual accolades, and
no doubt
didn't care about the team as much, right? You got to care about the team, number one. I'll tell you, look, first of all, Shad, I've been raving about him lately just because I love hearing that. He's, look, it's natural to evolve. Everyone evolves. You have to think he evolves as an NFL owner. When he first got the team, maybe he was a little green. He knew business, obviously. He's created a great business around it. The marketing is, pretty close to genius. Even when they weren't winning, the values are going up. Everything. You got a good enough fan base, solid each and every week. I think he's more hands-on. You heard him talk about, hey, we got to develop draft picks. He never said that when he first got here. He didn't probably know what that even was, to a certain degree. But I think, look, when your owner demands excellence, every time you see him, guess what he's thinking? Excellence. So that puts pressure on you, and that's a good pressure, because every locker room needs that pressure from their owner. Hey, think about it. Let's look at it from a practical standpoint. You put out all that money. What are you expecting? You know what I mean? I'm expecting championships, fellas. I didn't give you all this money just so you can have it. I'm not just this open bank that doesn't want a return on his investment. I want a return, and you better bring me a return. And I like that kind of attitude coming from Shad Khan, because it will. Look, it's top to bottom. Culture, top to bottom. What do I demand? Right? I demand. Go back to the great Al Davis. Just win. Mm-hmm. I don't care. Just win. Find a way to win. That's what we do here in Raider Nation. We win. And they did. It does matter. I think for at least in the early days with Mr. Weaver, we had success early. So, was no demands. It was just this
a parade
is great.
the first 5 years.
What a ride. This is awesome. And it was good to see him. We all did. It was great when the owner came into the locker room. It was great when you'd see him in the tunnels. It was great when you'd see him out at practice, being a part of it, because that's part of the culture you're talking about. So, yeah, I do think a bad culture can tear you apart. A good culture doesn't necessarily win you championships, but it definitely helps get you to that spot.
What was right in 2022 that allowed that team to create momentum after getting beat as badly as they did in Detroit, right? They got embarrassed that week there there was a lot of pressure on everybody going into that game. This is where you take, we start the momentum right now. We take it from Detroit. We grab it for ourselves. They got absolutely embarrassed that day. And then they went on the run at the end of that season. What was right about that team that year that was wrong in 2023 that allowed them to be 8-3 and competing for the 1 seed in the AFC at that point in time and lose 5 of their last 6 games and not even wind up in the playoffs?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, 2022, there were no expectations. No one thought they were going to do anything. And after that game, it even solidified it. Remember how mad I was after that game?
Oh, yeah.
I was so mad that they got killed that bad. Of course, because there's a lot of connectivity with Detroit and Jags and how they're doing and the way they're growing and that type of thing. I think, look, it happened in 2017. I just mentioned it, right? It can happen. How do you handle success? If you can't handle success, you're not going to be a very good team. So I don't think they handled it very well. I think they did get pie in the sky. I do think they got big heads. I do think they got fat and happy. And I think it showed. And look, we've talked about it throughout the year. You don't have a bad practice in week 2 against the champs. You don't need to get out of Dodge after week 3 because you're reading the press clippings.
Right.
The message should have been, you guys haven't done jack what yet. So what are you talking about, press clippings? You haven't done anything. You haven't arrived. You haven't done anything. And I don't think they handled it very well. And then, of course, everything else that happened last year, bad play or injuries or whatnot, and then that just spirals into you can't recover. So they didn't recover. How they didn't show up? Tell me, how did they not show up against Tennessee? How? Everything on the line.
It's a playoff
and you
game
don't
for
show
them.
up.
Yeah.
Come on, there's something wrong there. There's something seriously wrong inside that locker room when you don't show up for that game.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's eerily similar to what they did to the Colts 2 years before that.
Yeah.
Right? In that final game that season where the Colts have everything on the line. Coming here to Jacksonville. Jacksonville is at the end of one of their most miserable seasons in franchise history. And they found a way to win that game and ruin the whole year for Carson Wentz and that Colts team that year. And Jacksonville was in that kind of position last year too. Tennessee had nothing to play for except to ruin it for you.
Right.
And it's not the first time Tennessee has ruined things.
No, you're right
for
about
the
that.
franchise here in Jacksonville. Just when it felt like that was
felt that
right.
Spear going.
Just when it felt like it was really turning kind of the other way, especially with Week 18 the year before and how that went down, and everything that happened 2 years ago against the Titans, and then for it to end the way it did last year, I get it. From the fans that are going, are we ever going to get over this?
I'll tell you what, Tony. When we were on the field for the Alumni Week, which was a San Fran week, and the Jags came out all fired up. They did. And then San Fran came out of the tunnel, and the whole mood changed. You could feel it. I don't know if it was being timid. I don't know what it was, but San Fran, from the opening bell, whooped their tail.
Yeah.
And you could see us go into a down. You're like, okay, I know they're San Fran. I know they're coming off a 3-game. I know they got stuck, but you didn't show up for that game either.
Yeah.
It's almost like you were afraid to go full speed and you're going to get hurt. So there might have been some armor, dents in this team earlier than we think.
Well, and you got the full San Fran experience, right?
Yeah.
The guys that hadn't been there those 3 weeks when they were losing, they were all back.
That's right.
Right? And it did feel like, I get it from the 49ers perspective walking on the field, it's like, we're us again. right? Like they walked on the
go.
field with that kind of attitude, and they carried it through the whole game. Jacksonville had no answer for it that day.
They came to fight, and we did not.
No.
We did not.
The Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day today: what Jaguars player would have gotten your vote for team MVP for the 2023 season?
Okay.
The players we included in the poll: Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence. If you wanted to vote for somebody else, just let us know what that name might be, and we may kick around some of the names that might be considered for that kind of thing. As we'll put a bow on it here on the other side. Tom McManus here with me, Tony Smith, on Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Jaguars Today for the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios. It begins with a dream and a plan, and ends with those two magical words.
Touchdown, Jacksonville!
1010XL.
Bueller Air and Plumbing presents Are You Cool?
Today's challenger, a paint color namer from Jacksonville, Florida. Meet Irving Stapler.
Hi, Howie.
So the next round is word association. I'll say a word and you give me the first word you think of. Engagement ring.
Jeweler.
Gas station.
Fueler.
Aaron Burr.
Dueler?
Air conditioning.
Wow. Jeez. That's a toughie.
Come on, Irv. The sponsor's going to kill me now.
Oh, Bueller.
That's right, Irv. If your AC is struggling through the summer heat, the first name you should think of for fast, friendly, 5-star service is Bueller Air and Plumbing. The name to know to make sure you are cool.
Have a beer, Irv.
Cooler.
Stay cooler with Bueller. Visit BuellerAir.com.
Expert Automotive is ready to keep you cool this summer. Right now, get an AC inspection or a system cooling checkup. Your choice for only $19.99. Their gift to you this summer is $50 off any service and a free tire rotation with any service. Their ASE certified technicians can keep your car cool without breaking the bank this summer. Call them at 374-3373 to get an appointment today. Expert Automotive. They never sell greed, only what you need.
Parents, it's football time. The Mandarin Athletic Association is accepting applications for the 2024 Pop Warner football and cheerleading season. Registration is filling up. Sign up at mandarintigers.com. That's mandarintigers.com.
Did you know a metal roof from Prime Roofing will last 2 to 3 times longer than a shingle roof? If you want a better roof, think metal. Think Prime Roofing. Schedule your free estimate today at primeroofingfl.com. That's primeroofingfl.com.
Mark Watson with Hardball Creative. What's better than beer? Cold beer. Put your company logo on a custom koozie. Check them out at hardballcreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all.
Wake up and smell the golf balls.
Brunch with the Tour.
Tour news, tips, and inside info.
Uphill putt for birdie.
Brought to you by
Clearwater Irrigation. Brunch provided by Chick-fil-A. Tuesday morning at 8:30 on 1010XL.
Beard's Diamonds' incredible Christmas and July sale is back.
Everything store-wide is on sale, up to an unbelievable 40% off.
But it's only happening till July 31st.
Don't shop anywhere until you shop Beard's Diamonds.
At the St. John's Town Center.
This is Hayes Carline here to help you break free from the chains of pest infestation. The talk of this town is Kingfish Pest Control. By now, many of your neighbors have already joined the Kingfish Revolution, leaving their homes and lawns protected and pest-free. Now it's your turn. Call Kingfish Pest Control and say goodbye to termites, ants, mosquitoes, and other annoying pests. Trust me, you'll get exceptional service and understand why your neighbors and I use Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jaguars.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. You know, I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation, light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to CarlsonDentalGroup.com. That's CarlsonDentalGroup.com for all of your dental needs.
Andrew Gibson here, sports fans, and the next time you're driving by Kuhn Flowers on Beach Boulevard, why not stop in and smell the roses? Kuhn Flowers has totally changed the face of their store inside and out. Send someone you love a floral arrangement today from Kuhn Flowers.
Hey, it's Tony from Tony D's Pizza. If you love our pizza and pasta dishes, let us cater an event for you.
family function, or office parties, we can deliver you an amazing Italian meal. Remember, it's not just pizza at Tony D's. Bay Meadows and $2.95.
Have you tried golfing at the improved Cimarron Golf Club? If you haven't, tell you what, you're missing out on the best deal in Jacksonville. Now, many of you have received a postcard in the mail, and of course, if you bring that with you, $45 plus tax to play. That includes a cart, lunch, and a beer at the brand new Stone Barrel Tap House. Now, go to the website, that is CimarronGolfClub.com, and sign up for the Wild One Loyalty Program. That's the Wild One Loyalty Program, and get all of these specials emailed to you from Cimarron.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. He's number 55.
Tom McManus.
Brought to you by Renewal by Anderson. A better way to a better window on 1010XL.
We got some business we got to take care of before we wrap it up here on this Monday with Tom McManus with us, making up for not being able to be here on Friday.
That's right.
Doing the family thing, man. Can't blame you for that. I'm glad that you enjoyed the 4th of July weekend with family down in Orlando.
When the band's back together, I'm a happy man.
No doubt about it. Trevor Lawrence adding to the band, as you know.
That's right.
We found out here over the last couple of weeks. So congratulations to him and Marissa as they are getting ready to welcome a little girl to the band. We'll see what instrument she wants to play.
That's right.
I have a feeling it's her call. What kind of
singer?
Yeah. What instrument do you think Trevor plays if he was in a band?
The bongos.
It's the bongos.
Or the bass. Yeah. I can see him being a bass player.
He feels like a bass guy, doesn't he?
Yeah. He could be up there. Boom.
Right. Right, like there's no attitude with it.
Yeah.
You know, he's just up there keeping time.
Yeah.
Like keeping everybody in time.
I tell you, our bass player, Mike Elliott, he's phenomenal. He's 65 years old. He's the glue, and he just stands there.
Yeah.
And he'll sing backup from time to time, but same emotion, same stuff. You know.
Have you ever seen some of those classic videos of The Who in concert?
Oh, yeah.
With Entwistle on bass. You know, the other three guys are maniacs, right on the stage. They are just losing their mind. Who knows what's in their mind?
Yeah, right.
You know, when they're on that stage, and then they'll cut on the video to a shot of Entwistle, and he's just he's like, watch these guys. He's like, it's kind of fun. You know, I just wind them up and watch them go.
Yeah.
You know,
bass is the glue, man. They're some of the coolest members of bands.
No doubt about it. We'll get to what we need to close it out today. Before we do that, though, Fan Cam, I'm sure he was sad that he didn't get the opportunity to call you on Friday. So he's calling us today. Fan Cam, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, good morning, guys. You brought back some memories there with the Mosh story and the glory days. And one of the traditions we had back in parking lot R, you'll probably get a kick out of this, there was a 400-pound chef in the park right near us. And before we went in every game, we'd do a pregame belly butt. And this gentleman, buddy of mine, would get a running start about 20, 30 feet and come barreling at me. And I'd just be standing there, and we'd hit and stand him. I'd pretty much stand him straight up on the first one, Tommy, but then he'd keep pounding, and it'd end up pounding me backwards in the end. So we did that before every game. And one game we went early before the game, and a friend of mine, Chris, was there, a littler guy, and I'm all geeked, ready for football, you know. And so he comes over, and he taps his belly, give me a belly butt. And without thinking, I went full bore into the belly butt. Well, Chris went airborne. Went across the aisle, and 2 or 3 rows down, he landed on the seats on his back.
Oh, no.
And I found out later he actually spent a couple days in a hospital with some back issues from that one. And that's the last time I've ever given him a belly butt, and probably the last time he's asked for one. So we do a gentle belly tap these days. But I think things are looking great. I remember that Detroit game, Tommy, and I called that Friday, and I had to do my best to talk you off the cliff that morning.
I was pretty bad.
And that was kind of the turning point of the organization. And I think the Kirks and the Lewicons and everything he brought in, and the getting away from the urban dysfunction, and things just started to come together. And at that point, we started a 13-3 run. And after it led to the unfortunate number of things that came together that melted us down at the end of last year. But I think it's going to be a great 3 or 4 years, and you guys have a great week. It's always fun talking to you, and I'm getting ready for some chili in a couple weeks.
All right,
have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.
No doubt, Fan Cam. Appreciate the call, buddy. Yeah, it is the NFL, pro sports in general, and maybe sports in general, but I don't think anything will humble you faster, right, than playing in a league like the NFL. This was an 8-3 football team.
Yeah.
With 6 games to play.
Yeah.
You know, and as we've talked about, they had the number 1 seed within their grasp in the AFC going into that Sunday night game or the Monday night game against the Bengals. It was all right there for them to grab onto. And instead of taking advantage of the opportunity, and as you know, as a player, 96 doesn't come around but once. That happens once in 1996.
Right.
99 happens once.
Yep.
Right? Like you have that opportunity that one time to grasp hold of an opportunity that you've earned because you know you earned it because you had the opportunity.
Yep.
Right? And when it gets past you, it's not like, well, we'll just do it again next time. There's a lot of work and effort that goes into creating those opportunities. And when they slip by you, there's not a whole lot you can do. You can try to learn a lesson from it having slipped through your hands for whatever myriad of reasons that might be.
You know, take the Cincinnati game, Tony. It's national TV against Jake Browning. Yeah. And you don't kill that kid? Not literally, but you don't get to him? Like the defense didn't do anything that game. They put up 31 on us, I think, or whatever it was. So, like, you're sitting there going, wait.
Josh Allen had the pick. That's the only defensive play they made in the whole game.
Right. Where are you guys? You're the number 1 seed, and your defense lays an egg. Offense didn't. Offense was on fire that night. We know what happened after that. So, I don't know. I think, look, and we all love Fan. I love him too. And I know a lot of fans out there, they're like, you try to put 22 and 23 together, it makes you feel better. Well, look at the run they went on. I'm just like, 2 different years. It does not matter. That might make you feel better, but it doesn't matter. They're 2 separate years. So, look, I do think, I've always said that, and I've said it all last year. I said it all offseason. Last year was more psyche than anything. It was more the way they couldn't handle the success of the year before. I think they've been humbled. And if I'm Doug Peterson, I'm making sure they stay humbled and hungry. Nothing wrong with swag. You got to back it up.
Yeah.
But we got to make sure that, hey, guys, we haven't done anything until we're hoisting that trophy.
Yeah, and I know talking to Donovan about it on Friday because I hadn't had the opportunity to talk to him, obviously, this offseason yet. And talking to him about, he didn't really have that exact same kind of thing anytime here in Jacksonville. His last year here was 2006. He had the broken leg, so he missed the end of that season.
Right.
And that was the closest to a team he was on experiencing that kind of thing. They had won 5 out of 7. They lost the last 3 to not make the playoffs after making the playoffs in 2005. Right. And the next year he signs in Miami for the one season. Right. So he wasn't here as part of the, what's the rebound going to be? They rebounded pretty well. They made the playoffs in 2007. Right. But that's the closest to whatever his experience of that would have been. And so talking to him about it, he said players can let go of it way faster than fans can. Right?
Yeah.
And I think there is something to that. I think the fan base is still carrying around the losing the 5 out of 6, and I think they should.
Right.
Because it is an opportunity. You had a chance to, going through an entire offseason after doing what they did in 2022. Heck, I picked them to be 16-1.
Right.
I've never ducked away from being a guy who thought that was – I thought they were going to be great last year.
I did too.
Right? And at 8-3 –
not 16-1, but I thought they were going to be really, really
good. At
8-3,
I thought they're great.
Right.
Right? Like, that's the way it felt.
Right.
Yeah, and then they lose 5 out of 6. You don't replace that opportunity.
Yeah.
You have the opportunity to create another opportunity.
Yeah.
But that's one that you never get back, and that may be why the players can let go of it quicker than the fans can. Fans carry those scars forever, right? Like, it just doesn't go away.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Look, if you got peers that play on teams that beat you, you probably hear it. But fans hear it all the time. They hear it online. They hear it from other fans, their friends that aren't fans of the same team. So they do take it on the chin a lot more. And it's an emotional thing for them. It is. And it is for the players, too. But players can be like, all right, well, we gotta regroup and make things happen this year. Again, I do think. I like what they've done in the offseason. I like what the owner's saying. I like what Doug's saying. I want to see a more physical camp, and I think this team can do some damage this year. Look, it's playoffs or bust each year. You pay that kind of money, it's playoffs or bust.
No doubt.
So So they got to get on a run, and who doesn't want to be on a playoff or bust run? I know I do.
Let's answer the Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day in the form of a 10-10 take.
10-10
take.
Now, Mike Dempsey's 10-10 take, brought to you by Leonard Truck Accessories.
Not surprisingly, Josh Allen running away with the poll this morning. What Jaguars player would have gotten your vote for team MVP for the 2023 season? Josh Allen getting 88% of the vote. Trevor Lawrence getting 11% of the vote. ETN, by the way, the only other player that got kind of a write-in vote here on the question of the day this morning. Maybe Ingram would be another guy you'd consider, had a big season, especially for a tight end. Maybe Foye.
I mean, this is not how you do MVP, but when Kirk went out, things went south.
Yeah. That's kind of the argument.
You know what I mean? Like,
like
and I know that's not
a healthy Trevor Lawrence. They were 8-3.
Yeah.
You know, and then the injuries really started piling up.
Yeah. Well, Kirk, that injury hurt.
And that was the same night.
Yeah, right.
You know, he and Trevor both had, Kirk being out for the rest of the year. Trevor Lawrence being a guy who doesn't get to practice for the rest of the year, after that week. And it showed, But Josh Allen, clearly the winner this morning, and that's where my vote would have gone as well. Before we get out of here, let's put a bow on today's episode.
Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since '87.
We talked about the opportunity for a Jaguars player to win the MVP for the first time, and among the teams that haven't had a player win the MVP, we both agreed he's probably third, fourth, maybe on that list. Among the teams that would be eligible for that kind of thing, probably behind Aaron Rodgers and Jalen Hurts at this point. But Trevor Lawrence, I think, isn't that far behind either of those guys as far as in my mind, his opportunity to win an MVP this season. So we'll see what it looks like for him. Again, we've said it the whole time. He's got MVP caliber talent. We'll see if he can put it together going into 2024.
Hey, Jalen Hurts got a lot to prove.
No doubt.
He didn't. The Eagles, they're not a lot. I mean, they have more obviously success than us as an organization, but they don't. They fell from 10-1.
Yeah.
And Jalen did not play well. And that D-line, that D-line getting pushed around. You're like, how do those big guys get pushed around? But they were. So it can happen, obviously. So he's got a lot to prove this year. I know he's paid. I know everyone's like, he's paid. Okay, he's paid. But you know what? Pay is great, but championships are great as well.
Yeah.
To say you've won, some as a QB is everything. So
we'll see what other spots Jaguars players show up on. But with the top 10 list starting to come out here on ESPN, ETN comes in as the number 10 running back. Very deserving of that kind of spot. We'll see who else shows up. As I've said the whole time, I think he's a Pro Bowl caliber player. We'll see what he does here in 2024, his third year on the field. Tomorrow, we'll have our Tuesday top 5. I wanted to make it something more fan-centric this week than typically we make it. I will be asking tomorrow for your top 5 favorite plays in Jaguars history. This doesn't need to be some definitive list, but I'm still not asking you to ignore Fred going 90 or Jimmy and Mark against Buffalo. I can understand those plays are going to be on a bunch of people's list. I want your personal top 5, and for whatever reasons you may have it there. A play you witnessed live, it was your favorite player. That week is more impactful for whatever reasons may be going on away from actual football for you that week. Those kind of things. But whatever your rationale might be, we'll get into that more on the show tomorrow. Your top 5 favorite plays in Jaguars history. So for Tom McManus, for Dylan Denmark, for an on-assignment Mike Dempsey, I'm Tony Smith. That'll do it for us. Helmets and Heels coming up next right here on 1010 XL.
Jaguars Today.
For the renewal